Intermediate Algebra Section 1.3, Combining Like Terms. A term is a number, a variable, a product of numbers and or variables, or a quotient of numbers and or variables. When terms have variable factors that are exactly the same, we refer to those terms as like or similar terms. And we can often simplify expressions by combining or collecting like terms. And that's what they're asking in these sets of problems here. Because each of these terms has x to the second power, they are similar terms. And to simplify them, we add the coefficients since it's an addition problem. You can think of this as 4 plus 5 times x squared, and 4 plus 5 is resulting in 9x squared. Another way of illustrating this, if you had 4 apples plus 5 apples, since these are both x squared and I'm calling x squared apples, 4 and 5 more make 9 apples, 9x squared. In this next problem, we want to combine like terms, and the like terms are terms that have variables exactly the same to the same power, and I've underlined the similar terms that have x. And in this case, we have a 4 minus 7, well, 4 minus 7, or 4 plus a negative 7 is a negative 3x. What's left to simplify are simply constant terms. They don't have a variable in them. In this case, they're integers. Negative 8 plus 2 adds up to be a negative 6. We could have also written this as just a minus 6. So there's the simplified version of that expression. In this next example, we have a minus in front of this. This is the product of a number, and negative 1 is its opposite or additive inverse. For example, to illustrate this, instead of saying minus here, I could say plus a negative 1 times the quantity 2y plus 3, replacing that minus with, using this rule of subtraction or definition of subtraction, plus a negative 1, and then using distributive property, we end up with negative 1 times 2y is a negative 2y, and a negative 1 times 3 is a negative 3. If you look at where we started and what we now have, we have exactly the opposite or the additive inverse of what we had. We had a positive 2y in the parenthesis, we now have a negative 2y. We had a positive 3, we now have a negative 3. And recognizing this through practice, that we can use a shortcut when they're asking us to take the opposite of an expression. All we need to do is change the signs of everything in that quantity. Now that we've eliminated the parentheses of this expression, we can simplify further by combining like terms. We have a 4y and a minus 2y are similar or like terms since they both have y to the first power. And combining their coefficients, 4 plus a negative 2 leaves a 2y, and nothing to combine with our constant term, leaving it as a plus the quantity negative 3y, or replacing the plus a minus with simply a minus 3 using the rule of subtraction, which rule of subtraction, if you have a quantity a minus b, it's the same as a plus negative b. And all I did was went in this direction. I have a plus a negative is the same as 2y minus 3. Both of these are equivalent. In this next one, they're asking us to simplify, and we have to follow our order of operations inside the parentheses and further inside. These aren't similar terms, so we can't do anything there. But if we back out, we do have a distributive property to eliminate the parentheses, And is it a minus 2? Yes, because subtraction is the same as plus a negative, just as I illustrated here with the rule of subtraction. So multiplying a negative 2 times the first will result in a negative. 2 times 4 is 8x. A negative 2 times the negative 3 is a positive 6. Simplifying inside the parentheses by combining like terms, we have integers that can be combined. They're like 3 plus 6 is a 9, and we still have the minus 8x. Then, looking to simplify further, we have a subtraction of a quantity like the last problem. If it helps to turn this into plus a negative 1 and distribute, that's fine. And at some point, we recognize that all the signs change the opposite of what they are. But to illustrate it again, a negative 1 times 9 is a negative 9. A negative times a negative is a positive. 1 times 8x is 8x. And if you look, the signs are exactly, this was a subtraction of this quantity. The 9 is now a negative, and the 8x, which was negative, is now a positive. Can we simplify this further? We have an a 9, and an x, no longer similar, and we've gone as far as we can. Do have an option of writing this as a subtraction though.